Open world racers are something that I really have started to love over others of the genre. Games like Need for Speed and Forza Horizon are wonderful at giving you these beautiful open worlds, not just to run around to find races, but explore. So when I heard LEGO was making an open world racer, it was an immediate source of interest. Let's see how they did. Here is my review of LEGO 2K Drive for the Nintendo Switch. Story-wise, this game takes place in Bricklandia, separated from the worlds of the earlier LEGO Racers 1 and 2. There's a nefarious and hoodlum racer known as Shadow Z who races dirty and is a clear villain. You're an upcoming racer training to be able to get up to the main cup and event to take down Shadow Z so a villain doesn't take the cup. Now I will admit, there's not a whole lot of story here, no licensed characters you'd recognize, just little references to the likes of Mario Kart and the LEGO Movie here and there. The characters do have some fun comedic commentary, but that's about all there is. When it comes to gameplay, 2K Drive is a sandbox style racing game with upgrade elements and a ton of minigames. As you play, you'll explore large areas and take part in events, from actual races to various activities. Now first of all, despite how it was marketed, this isn't really an open world racing game. Yes, the areas you can explore are legitimately large and that part of the game is great, but they're segmented biomes that you must go to the world map to travel between. Next up are game modes, and this is another big point. This game lets you do campaign as well as some strictly racing modes like cup and minigames. You can do a lot of these modes with local couch multiplayer or online to play with friends or anyone around the world. And it's got crossplay so you can play with anyone, right? Wrong. 2K Games gave crossplay to every platform except for the Switch. And that isn't even the downside I was thinking about. We have all these game modes plus the online shop that lets you spend in-game currency for drivers, cars, engines, and cosmetics, but you can only use these non-single player features if you link a 2K account to the game. It's simple enough to link the account, but you can't even do the online multiplayer or the shop until you've got that account linked. An odd design choice. Now let's get to the game itself. In campaign, you're dropped into the biomes and drive your car around to explore and do events. There is a pretty big element of exploration here, with garages functioning as fast travel points and tons of different events around each biome that you have to discover to unlock. Exploring is quite a lot of fun, especially with this game's gimmicks of almost everything being destructible that you can plow through and the fact that your cars transform. Every vehicle can traverse both land and water, transforming into a street, off-road, or water vehicle whenever you access that kind of terrain. It's all seamless and really fun to watch. Plus, the health system lets you rebuild your vehicle by just driving through other LEGO objects, effectively taking those bricks to repair the vehicle. And before we even get to your main goal, let's talk about the great car creation tool in the garage. You've got dozens upon dozens of different actual LEGO pieces to create your own vehicle. You start with a base frame and then you can just make whatever you want. Throw pieces on there so it's literally just a flat board with a seat on it, or you can create an actual vehicle. Maybe you can't perfectly replicate the LEGO Technic Ford GT or Jeep Wrangler, but you can certainly make something close. I spent probably 2 to 3 hours when I first discovered this feature just trying to make a makeshift Jeep. I will admit the controls are a little wonky, taking some tricky angles to get pieces where you want, but it's a pretty competent creation tool. Now let's get back to progression. Your goal is to do races and level up to obtain checkered flags, advancing the story towards the inevitable confrontation with Shadow Z. But to do that, you gotta beat rivals which have a level or event requirement to get to. Think of it like the Most Wanted 2012 reboot, where you had to do races and events to gain reputation and unlock the ability to challenge the most wanted drivers, moving you up in the ranks. It's not a bad system, and it gives you a lot of very different things to do. In fact, the majority of events found around the maps aren't races at all. They're minigames like driving giant golf balls into holes or flying through rings like you're playing Superman 64 but in a car. And that's kind of a shame because the racing is the best part of this game. Now 2K Drive is basically a kart racer. You drive around a track with a boost meter from drifting and lots of power-ups you collect in a race to use on your opponents. Like homing rockets, spider webs to cover your opponent's screen, or even teleporting you forward in the race. The drifting system especially is very easy to use and incredibly fun. Most of the circuits are well designed as well, giving off vibes of the first couple laps being all you really need to learn and remember what to do and where. But let's talk about difficulty, and every racer's most hated feature comes back here as well. 2K Drive has some serious rubber banding going on. This feature effectively gauges how well you do in races and tweaks the AI to match your skill level. And of course, it means you'll always be winning by a thread, as whenever you get a lead on someone, they get that magical boost to catch up to you instantly for the sake of keeping things tense. Now the great thing is, you can turn rubber banding off, at least to a point, by going into options and disabling the racing assist function. But there's a downside. Rubber banding will still happen a bit with it off, and the AI will use weapons against you much more often. Granted, if you got all this great upgrade stuff that you've either unlocked from the game or bought from the online shop, that might not even matter to you. And speaking of, let's talk about that online shop, one of the big things that people don't like about this game. This is effectively an online services shop. You have cars, drivers, engines, cosmetics, bricks for creation mode, using the in-game currency to buy new things. It's also extremely expensive, requiring you to grind a lot of races and especially side quests to be able to make the money to buy even one new vehicle. Or you can just spend real money to get currency to exchange for the other currency. It also doesn't help that I've never been able to buy anything from the shop. Every time I try to buy something, the game just sort of glitches. It says I purchased the item, but I don't get the item and my funds never go down. I've deleted and re-downloaded many times, installed it on different Switch models, and I don't know, maybe this is a me thing. I haven't heard anything about this happening to other Switch players, but I am apparently incapable of buying anything from the shop. But let's talk about all of this and bring it together. There's a decent amount of stuff to do here, but the content isn't that high. It'll probably only take you about 10 hours to go through this game, even with a lot of exploration and doing the side events. The DLC Drive Pass has promised more events and cosmetics in the future, but as it stands, it's not that long of a racer. And now let's go into presentation. For what it is, I think the game looks fine. Obviously, we aren't talking crystal clear, oh my goodness graphics, but for an open game on the Switch, there's a decent amount of detail in the models in the world. Now there is a fair amount of blurring going on around the bigger models, but it looks alright. Performance is something we should talk about though. In docked mode, 2K Drive plays pretty well. You get 30 FPS most of the time, with dips into the 28 to 29 range occasionally when just exploring the road. Now some races will lower that, bringing the frame rate into the 20s a lot for those races with a lot of effects and other racers around. Now let's go into battery life. LEGO 2K Drive gets the original and light models about 2.5 to 3 hours, and the V2 and OLED models get 5 to 6.5. In conclusion, LEGO 2K Drive might not be the open world game they advertise, but it's a cute and fun little sandbox game filled with mini activities, LEGO everything, and a pretty in-depth creation tool. Now on the downside, you will get occasional frame drops in many of the races. The shop system and grindy nature of currency isn't a great look for a driving game, and the extreme rubber banding can certainly turn away some racing fans. But if you like little cartoony racers with lots of stuff to explore and do, you'll enjoy your time here. Reviews to Go rates LEGO 2K Drive for the Nintendo Switch a 7 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.